Dungeon Doomhands Let's Talk Lore, a podcast.
Cord.
I love this dip that's coming into my head because of the way the light is.
Yeah, it could be a inverse cone head. Just lighting.
Getting some horns. This is how I get horns.
This is how you grow horns. You actually don't grow horns. You grow the divot. We're definitely live, by the way. That's for sure.
Okay. I'm glad that I made it on there.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Lore, where Chris and I discuss Dungeons & Dragons lore and anything else that comes up. Today, we are going to talk about this green hero named Wilbur. Now, we're going to spend the first portion of the time talking about Wilbur, who is a hero in Agoth Doomhand and the Skulls of Power, which is a campaign that we've been working our way through for 3 years. Chris, who is Wilbur?
So, Wilbur was going to be my third character in the campaign. It was after we got a lot of information of like a somewhat good lore drop, and I wanted a character that I could try and squeeze as much lore out of Spencer as I could through my backstory. That's the whole reason his whole backstory is what it is so I could be like, hey Spencer, would I have learned this from my cult that I just made up so I could ask you all these questions? So Wilbur, at the end of the session where Lone Star did the necklace in the bag and poof, had the rest of the guys do a couple rolls and randomly decide what I was going to play. So it turned out to be a kobold barbarian.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He was made, yeah, that's right. He was made from our rolls or from your rolls?
From the other guys' rolls. I had other people make
it was a group roll session to make this guy's character, but
yeah,
that's only after the fantastic death of Lone Star. We won't get into it. Best death I've ever had so far as a DM was Lone Star. Wilbur was Chris's. Lone Star was played by Chris, and so Chris had to quickly make another character. So when you were rolling him, after you rolled his race and his class, and you knew that he's the green hero because every player has a specific skull that their characters are attached to, so you knew you were going to be green. That doesn't change. You're forever a green, unless we figure out a way to change it. You're forever a green skull player. Other than that, yeah. You wanted to change. What did you mean? I remember you telling me he was going to be some sort of monk or something.
No, he wasn't going to be a monk.
Not a monk, but like a priest in the studying skulls or something.
So knowing he was going to be a barbarian, I was curious about what I was going to play, and I really wanted to play the beast subclass, which is like you're really in touch with nature and you can change a lot of things. So I'm like, that sounds really cool. And he's a kobold and he's tiny, and I'm from South Florida. Perfect. There's a place called the Everglade in our world, and I'm like, he could be from a small tribe from there, and his tribe could be a cult that is a fanatical cult to the green hero. So this like a swamp green hero is all about Artemision, but it could be like somewhat of a twisted cult. So I was like, all right, how am I going to have fun with this?
So this was like a complete world building exercise for me. I was like, wow, this is incredible. As a DM, your guy wants to make a character based off of your campaign lore, which I don't know how often that happens, but I'm sure it happens. But that's pretty cool.
Well, here's a tip. Here's a tip for all you players. If you ever want to throw random lore into the story, just keep adding more stuff to your backstory.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Create your own world that you're from, and then it's a negotiation with you and the DM to see how much of that you can fit in there.
And also, like, one of the funniest parts about him was that I think he was like, this whole story, he didn't last too long. He made it
2 sessions.
I'll give you 3 sessions. He made it 3 sessions. No, was it 2? Yeah, 3 sessions. But the other players didn't know that he was so specialized in the skull force. So like when he awoke from the tomb that I had him like pop out of like a random tomb, which made sense in the story. You guys were at the tomb of sages. There's a red sage, a blue sage, and a green sage. So when they went over to open up the tomb of the green sage, well, on the very next session after Lone Star's death, out popped Wilbur. But no one asked like, "Hey, how'd you get there?" Or like, "Who are you?" And then your character was said a bunch of stuff. So what I thought was cool was that your character actually is from an area that I haven't put on the map yet. So I feel like that world building experience we're going to have to do together, because the term wasn't monks, but they were certainly studying. Can I go for the word worshiping?
Well, yeah, I would say they're like priests or clerics or like witch doctors. My thought or envision is, you think of Diablo 2 when you go to like the forest tribe where you have all like the witch doctors and all the little creatures running around. I'm like, his tribe's kind of messed up like that.
Hello, traveler.
It's like the way he became the Green Sage or the Green Hero is they killed him and buried him at a time that they thought a new Green Hero was going to be born. So that was their belief. So they killed him and he was reborn as a Green Hero.
That's insane. Okay, so we're going to have to work that way into the story. Love that. Not sure I'm going to... Are we just in limbo now? Is this essentially just lost? Is everyone actually just dead? And who knows, Chris? But that is fantastic. So you said, so he came to be from wherever he is.
His backstory is he grew up in the swamps, and the largest civilization or grouping was this cult, and he was pulled into it from a very young age.
Yes.
And raised in the faith of the skulls, and he was always...
Was it the skulls, though? Or was it like...
It was like...
skull? Because I know that you wanted his
it was only the green skull. It was only the green skull.
But because they know about the...
My thought was like it's a misinterpreted path that the belief went in. So think of like a major religion, and then there's like a small section of that a whole religion and cult following is devoted only to that aspect of it, nothing else.
I cannot wait to build. Maybe we should build. Chris wants to had a good idea of building a couple, like a town, a city, a village, maybe something smaller, maybe something bigger, live. And I'd be very interested to know from viewers in the comments if you'd like to see that. Now we would separate the screens and we'd do it live on our tabletop, and we'll figure it out. But I'm very, very interested to see. I know we want to do Trigard together, which is a huge city. I would love to see the city develop over a couple sessions with Let's Talk Lore. But this particular Green Hero thing, I love that. And I feel like as a DM, sort of, first off, gotta honor the role play. Like, I feel like if a player comes to you and says they would like to create a character in your myth, essentially, in your world, that has to do that knows a little bit more about whatever than the backstory of what's happening than the other players. That's a perfect way of getting the group to be more interested in the actual campaign story, not just the subtle side quests, but also like get them involved. Because now I don't think our group 100%, as I said earlier, to circle back, took advantage of that, but I don't think he was alive long enough for that.
I think part of that was entirely on how I played Lone Star, being an evil, like, jerk of a character, and then I came into Wilbur. Wilbur was going to be my lawful good, super happy-go-lucky, very loving and giving character, and everyone immediately hated him, thought he was a spy, tried to, multiple occasions, did try to kill him, and then just watched him as he died and walked away.
Okay, first off, there are
I've
recordings.
thrown a
there
lot
are
of people
recordings
under the bus.
Listen, everyone, there are recordings on how, I should point this way, how Chris played this barbarian. It was hilarious, but also, like, very sweet and gentle. But, like, if I was in a group and I certainly knew the barbarian powers and so on and so forth, and knew he was the green hero, wouldn't necessarily leave him there to get killed. But at the same time, like, dude, you're level, I don't know what you were, level...
I was level 9.
You had some bad rolls, though. Let's just call it what it was. You had some bad rolls. Like,
I didn't have the most helpful of friends.
So Wilbur's demise was he fought a... and I think we mentioned this in an earlier Let's Talk Lore episode, but Wilbur's demise was that he took on a mushroom golem. And the way the mushroom golems were played was when you hit him, spores come out, and it does something to you. It probably poison or whatever. He went prone, and everyone just started shooting the golem, and eventually just killed Wilbur. But other than that, other than his death, I would have to say, though, that Wilbur was an experience for me as a DM, because it sort of gave you, as a player, your own literal spot on the map. It might be small, but still, we can now build that together. And even if we didn't even get into the conversation like we are right now, I feel like any DM, whether it was a good DM or a bad DM, would be interested in ask the player questions as to where or what to expect in that town. Because I promise you, we're going to have to visit that town for something. Like, it's on my map now. And I felt like we put it towards the Fey area of... what was the name of the place it was called that he was from?
He was from... I don't know the exact town.
He said Everglades.
I don't think he gave the town name, but it was from the Everglade. And I do know there's like the secret sap from the Everglade.
Yes.
That someone underneath... There's dragons underneath the Everglade that want it.
There is a green dragon that has this very sticky sap that the sailors like to use, because it's like, you ever see the those memes online where you have the hole and it's like there's a big drum and it's leaking water, and they take this thing and they're like, bam, they slap it on it, immediately stops the leak. That's the green dragon sap from the whatever tree that was from the note. That's sick. So you're Wilbur Green Hero, R.I.P. But he can be seen on our YouTube, Agoth Doomhand and the Skulls of Power playlist.
I was so happy to play like a caring, truthful character after Lone Star.
What a death. What a death. But you guys can click around. You don't have to watch the whole episode, but you can, when you get towards the fungal forest, just jump around. He dies towards the end. The last 10 minutes of, I'd like to say it's session
50. I think 54.
54, yeah, about the 53 to 55 range. The last 10 minutes of one of those, Wilbur dies. And guess what? The best part about that death was everyone was laughing, including Chris. It was so funny. It was hilarious. So there you have it. I feel like we touched on some good things, a little bit of Agoth Doomhand lore, a little bit of how you might perhaps go about creating a character with a dungeon master, which was interesting for me. That's what Wilbur for me was. And we will come back in a few moments with some world building, now that we're on the subject, strategies, techniques, and recommendations. And if we're wrong, always write in the comments. We'd love to have a response.